My name is Babatunde, and today I'm going to be reflecting on the journey that was COMM 395, Business Communication. I've decided to complete my reflective diary in the form of a Pecha Kucha. My hope is to capture my biggest takeaways, highlights, and lessons from this course in the next 20 slides. I believe that all this can be achieved in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So sit back and relax as I look back on my favorite course of the 2020 winter session. Communication is an art, and learning to use it effectively can set you up for great success not only in business, but in anything you want to do. The term started off with the task of having to find a great speech that had inspired me. The speech I chose was one that this person gave as he addressed an entire nation in 2008. This person is Barack Obama, and this was a speech he gave when he became the first black US president. One of the things that made this speech so great was Obama's ability to paint vivid imagery by using powerful language and metaphors. Recognizing the impact that this speech had on me, I knew that I wanted to exude the highest level of confidence whenever I communicated. Next, we moved on to looking at the importance of self in communications. If one does not fully understand and respect themselves, then they cannot expect people to believe in what they're saying. Aspects such as personal hygiene, facial expressions, and proximity are key in communication, but might need to be adjusted based on the target audience. There is also cultural nuances in communication that need to be actively considered. It is absolutely vital to be aware and sensitive of your audience. Learning about this was important to me because I'm an international student studying in North America, and in the future, I hope to speak in different corners of the world. As an example, when it comes to eye contact, in North America, it is fitting to maintain a level of 70%. However, speaking from experience, this is too much in an African context, and a level of 40% if deemed more appropriate. If one does not strike the right balance, they risk coming across as rude or obsessive. For my mundane passage, I delivered the Kenyan national anthem, and this was an extremely nerve wracking moment because it was the first time I was presenting in front of the whole class. However, I was able to hold on a lesson that stayed with me throughout. This was to not conform to the man mold, but to replace the monotone with intonation and emotion. After unpacking several tools, I settled on three stylistic devices that I wanted to focus on in my toolbox going forward. These were repetition, lists of three, and metaphors. Repetition, when used at the right time, can really reinforce the point I'm trying to convey, and lists of three add rhythm and a sense of completeness to the words I use. Additionally, I like to use humor whenever I'm communicating, but learning about cultural nuances challenged me to pay close attention to the language I use and the ways in which I say certain things, as these may be found offensive by certain people. The informative presentation had been circled on my calendar for a while, and I knew that I would enjoy preparing for it because I chose a topic that I was passionate about. Aviation has always been a passion of mine. Therefore, I was excited to inform the audience on the intricacies of ultra long haul travel. One thing that went well was my creative and descriptive opening. By telling the story about the first long haul flight flying over the frosty North Pole, I believe I was able to really draw the audience in. However, one of the issues with this presentation was towards the middle, I had a tendency to scan the room instead of focusing on a particular audience member. Prior to the persuasive presentation, I'd never really considered the shades of persuasion. With my topic, the case against electric cars, my hope was to weaken the audience's commitment to the idea that electric cars were the next big thing rather than convert them, which would have been hard because of rising EV popularity. Not only was I able to improve on the scanning issue from the informative presentation, but I was impressed with the way I handled the Q&A session this time. My responses seemed more natural, and I used less filler words such as and like. An issue that I had, though, was I did not show the intended emotion when speaking about the ethical concerns of child labor. Office communication is extremely multifaceted, and one factor that stood out to me was that in order to be successful is to have a solid understanding of the hierarchy in the workplace. While VPs are more concerned with corporate strategy and lower level employees' execution, there is a discrepancy, and communication must be detailed to prevent any sort of misunderstandings in the workplace. My second most important takeaway was how to behave during office meetings. Etiquette is important, and you should not use your phone during a meeting so the person leading the meeting doesn't get distracted. Also, do not hijack the meeting and force your agenda, as it's not one you called. For the group presentation, I had the pleasure of working with Raheem, Ramia, and Miranda. The company that we picked was Bean Around the World Coffees. Founded in 1994, during our site visit, we got to see the coffee bean roasting process live and interview the VP of Operations, Max McKenzie, on the company's sustainability practices. One part of the presentation that went well was a great reception to our opening, which I did and decided to incorporate some humor into the section. However, I learned that the agenda for the presentation must be given in the first 30 seconds, as this was critiqued by the judges. Additionally, we needed to make sure we matched energy levels. My weight loss journey was something that I hold close and dear to my heart, and this was done in the Pecha Kucha presentation. But I believe that it was a topic that could impact everyone equally. There was a universal theme that I addressed, and that's one that everyone could relate to. This was the theme of motivation. Emotion, emotion, emotion. This was something that I had struggled with in my other presentations, but I was finally able to get right during this one. As a result, I was able to truly engage the audience and make the story as convincing as possible. However, not everything was perfect, and sometimes I did not seem conversational and it came across as I was reading a script. As the sun sets on this course, it's important to reflect on the journey that has been. Beginning the course, I was scared my nerves would get the best of me during my presentation. While they did not completely disappear, I was instead able to channel this energy into my preparation and ensure I was always ready to be whenever I got up to present. The lessons that I've learned in COMM 395 will stay with me forever. Whenever I have a presentation in the future, I'll come back to the toolbox I've been able to establish in the past 4 months. My communication skills have been honed, and I hope to develop them as I enter the real world and start my career. Thank you very much.